Ahoy, fellow earnest young men.
And welcome aboard the Joy of Trek, a saran-wrapped podcast exploring the tense music and mirrored shots of Star Trek, all of it. I'm Cocky.
I'm Kay.
And leaving the show forever is your chief engineer, Greg.
Oh, no! Greg! Together we're on a mission through the desert of Star Trek to find the lethal rads on every deck and the excellence in every episode.
Even the surly captains.
Because every episode must be someone's favorite, and it might as well be us.
So bury Picard before he's dead and join us as we're rescued into
The joy of Trek. Wow.
Yowzers. Okay, up until that last one, I was just thinking, these clues could be for any episode. Like this,
Pretty much, yes.
Dozens of episodes.
I mean, yes, deserts. Yes. Well, in Saran Wrap, not that many.
Yeah, but even that, I mean, who knows what that's talking about? I'd completely forgotten I'd seen this episode because we're talking about...
Final Mission, Season 4, Episode 9 of Star Trek The Next Generation.
First aired on November 19th, 1990.
1990.
Story by Casey Arnold. I'm not entirely sure I'm saying that right, including the teleplay. Jerry Taylor worked on it and was directed by Corey Allen. And I'm really curious... how are you going to describe this one to our audience? Because you have the privilege of, you've got notes.
Yes, it's Picard and Crusher have a spa day while the Enterprise takes out the garbage.
Okay, you're so good at this. Chief, what is the official synopsis of Final Mission?
On his way to Starfleet Academy, Wesley Crusher must care for an injured Captain Picard after their shuttle crashes on a desert moon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this was the first time where I was completely stumped when we got the clues last week, and I just had no idea what happened in this episode.
Did you get it? I thought you'd got it right at the last one. But
it was complete blank, and even when we got the title, we didn't know what happened in it.
Blank either, yes.
Yeah.
But yes, I definitely do remember seeing this episode before.
Right, because if you're trying to picture it at home and you're not exactly sure what happens, think Picard and Wesley doing Lawrence of Arabia.
Kind of, yes.
With I forget the term for the sort of headwear, the head protection, the particular style that they use.
Yeah.
With the long flap at the back. Chief, what is this called?
The long flap at the back is just to keep the sun out of your neck, I guess.
Exactly.
And
to keep a little bit of airflow, and I like that they used the dark fabric for it.
So it's whatever they had, really.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Okay, so there's not really a term for that style, like when you're wearing it in that style. It is very common, specifically with with Saudi Arabia. However, really just like a headscarf or a keffiyeh like that, you typically want it to be a light color because you want it to bounce the light off. You don't want it to absorb. That's only going to make it hotter and hotter. And when you're in heat like that, that's not what you want. So really, it looks like it'd be in a keffiyeh or a headscarf, but there's not really a term for wearing it specifically like that I can find, nor can my friend who is a little bit more knowledgeable on both Middle Eastern culture and Middle Eastern fashion can find and really ascertain what this is. But, I mean, like Kay says...
Because that shuttle was not well equipped.
No, it wasn't. As we're going to find out. Now, do you have any warp cores that you need to dump? And I'm going to be real stern this time.
Okay.
So it's got to be stuff that's general about the episode that we really have to know. And if you're just going to pick some nits, I'm going to not engage with that. I'm not going to raise the shield until we get there because the audience hasn't seen it yet, right? So
very good point. Yes. Let's see. Not really. I mean, I've got a lot of. I'm going to be I'm going to be venting more plasma than a fucking
than a mail
barge.
Yes,
yeah. But other than that, it's exactly. So, and other than that, no, I don't have any massive warp cores. No, not really.
I'm going to do one.
All right,
and it's just come to me, and it's kind of a reverse warp core. It's a bit of a mea culpa. Because this is the last regular appearance of Will Wheaton as Wesley Crusher. He'd asked to be released from his contract.
He had a few movie deals.
Exactly.
Coming up, yes.
As was long foretold, a young man with a very promising early career that he managed to translate into an adult career, which not every child actor manages to do.
No, definitely not.
But there was such such a mean-spirited fandom loathing of Wesley as a character that many of us, myself included, went along with in our edgy, stupid days. And like,
well, he was Gene Roddenberry's Mary Sue.
A bit, but everybody's Mary Sue in a to a very great degree. Actually, Mary Sue is a great way to put it because that trope started with Star Trek fan fiction. Mary Sue was the name of the author who wrote a character called Mary Sue, who was 15 3/4 and serving on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Yes.
Everyone came to her for advice and everyone fell in love with her. And it was, I read the story at one point. It's remarkably short.
Okay.
Page and a half, where all this happens. And like, imagine writing a story that to this day is still referenced, maybe not as charmingly as you might want.
But still, yeah.
And I think that was hugely like mean-spirited and myopic.
Yes.
Because Wesley is a fascinating character. Will Wheaton is a fantastic actor. This is an amazing episode.
I absolutely agree.
Did the rest of the world agree in your research?
There's not actually a lot of in-depth reviews on this episode. Reddit mostly talks about Wesley in general. And a lot of actually not even in a bad way. It's like a lot of the points that you just made are repeated there as well, and going on about like how he was written out of the series and at his own request, and how also a lot about how people seem to have in the beginning hated on Crusher in general, but on subsequent rewatches, like he's not as annoying as he was made out to be.
No, and I think so much of that was just envy. Right?
Probably. A lot of that.
We wanted to be the son of a brilliant doctor who gets to be on the ship and pushes all the buttons. This is, like, Roddenberry created this character that was supposed to be like an identifier, an avatar for us as teen boys watching it. And instead, we just felt tremendous, like, envy and jealousy and...
Yeah. Although Do Reviews gives it 2 out of 4 bottles of Dresky. Calls it that Durgo's personality was basically just an elaborate setup for an easily disposable character, one the audience wouldn't care about if they died.
Oh.
Okay, he goes into the plot here, where it quickly becomes a plot of convenience overshadowed by the sheer inane stupidity of the fact that the water was being guarded by a mysterious energy field. Failed to understand the need for the rights to insert a strange aging contrivance like the force field protecting the water, which never explained and never mentioned again after it was defeated by Wesley. Which,
I think that's really weird. I mean, okay, so I get it. Everyone has their viewpoint, but these stories, they just have to have an obstacle. And I actually have a lot of respect for stories that respect the viewpoint of the characters. These characters do not care about the anthropological origins or the necessity for this water. It doesn't matter.
It's just water.
It's the only source of survival. Yes, it's hugely contrived, but you're not worried about that when you approach it. I recall Christopher Nolan talking about the Joker in The Dark Knight, right? Characterized with Heath Ledger, a very anarchic phenomenon. And during the script writing, like both of them worked on this character, Heath Ledger of blessed memory. And like any time that they came close to like really delving into his backstory, they backed away from that temptation because he doesn't need it. He's terrifying, and it's even scarier not knowing where he's from. And the metaphor that he used is, if you turn around and see on your breakfast nook, there's a pineapple, there's a cup of coffee, and there's a hand grenade with no pin in it. You don't go,
where did that come from?
Where did that come from? It doesn't make any logical sense. You fucking run.
Yeah. Okay, very good point.
Right, you're in that emotional space, and here it's just an obstacle. It could have been anything, and it just had to pick something. Sure. And I think in the end, they really, really regretted doing that fountain. It was not easy to work with.
Oh, yes. Well, he also had some good things to say. There was a nice scene involving Durga holding the bottle of alcohol that was mistaken by water, like, again, adding to his character, but in a slightly more, like, oh, I'm hiding this, but like, oh, it's water. It's like, oh, it's not water. It's like, okay, but you're still hiding it. And there was a good dialogue involving strength, and Wesley and Durga got to spar off a little. So he was mostly into the opening scenes, which I tend to agree. Like it's strongest right until the point that that the energy creature starts going weird, and after that it's just like, okay, how long until it's defeated? How long until Wesley tricorders his way out of the problem?
But also, why does he do it? This is the thing that I found really interesting.
Why does who do what?
Why does Wesley manage to tricorder it, right? We know they're going to survive. We know they're going to make it through. Nobody's ever in real peril. We decide to go along with that, right? That's the contract we have. We have to believe that a main character is at risk of dying.
Right.
14 episodes into a 26-episode season and contracts for, 2 more seasons in a movie. We'll suspend our disbelief. But the reward for that is like learning something new about them and like being able to empathize with or even identify with their motivation. And that's how we can connect with them. That's the payoff for accepting this peril. Now, we have one more person who has a viewpoint.
Who recommended, that's the word I was looking for, this episode to us.
Final mission was recommended by Tsuyoto Wolfe, they them pronouns, who said,
Begin subspace message. Stardate 46490.2. This is Lieutenant Tsuyoto Wolfe on Subspace Network Relay Station 47. Longtime listener, first-time hailer. I recently transferred here to fill in for the last lieutenant, and I'm just getting settled in. I love your broadcast, and I wanted to make an episode recommendation of my own. I have so many favorites that I had considered, but I was inspired to find a joy in one that I hadn't liked before. When Netflix started streaming Star Trek, I would binge watch through TNG, DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise, then start over again with TNG. But I would always skip a few episodes I didn't like. For my recommendation, I went back to one of the episodes I had skipped and rewatched it. I recommend TNG Final Mission. I dismissed it as another filler episode with Wesley being annoying. But with the rewatch, I found more in it. It is a transition from Wesley being Picard's fanboy to recognizing that Picard can be a vulnerable person, to Wesley taking responsibility for both of their survivals. The alien shuttle captain still feels like a thin character meant only to be plot fodder for Wesley's growth, but I appreciate the episode more now. Thank you for taking my recommendation. Now back to monitoring subspace network traffic. End transmission.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that sounds absolutely true. The comment about the captain, absolutely. It's like an easy character to kill off.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I will point out, do you recognize the actor by any chance?
No, I did not.
It's tough under all that makeup. That actor was Nick Tate.
Okay.
Who also appeared in a really excellent DS9 episode called Honor Among Thieves as a syndicate criminal that Brian O befriends while undercover.
Okay.
But he's most famous to science fiction fans as the sexy pilot Alan Carter in Space 1999.
Ooh, I think I've seen that, but
oh wow, that's going to be
a long time ago.
When we remember to do wild cards again on our episode, I'm going to slip Space 1999 in there once.
Okay,
because it was a British made, I think, science fiction series in the 70s, and it's
you talk about the series, not about the movie. I've never seen this. Definitely never seen the series.
I do know that there is a movie.
I thought there was a movie.
Oh, there might have been a telemovie of the first episode. Okay. But yeah, it's about this. Like, the moon gets knocked out of orbit and takes this moon base with it. And that's where our heroes are at.
I remember the premise, but I've not seen any of it. Nothing seriously.
And it's so wild. Like, the main mission room, the command, is just this huge open plan office where people have desks. And like the captain's room has a sliding
it's a base.
wall.
I mean, why not? You know?
Yeah. And there's a weird sort of vibe of sexual liberation there. Where people are just sort of casually flirting. And yeah, they're probably f***ing off duty.
I mean, it was the 70s. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, seeing him as the captain of a crotchety old shuttle, there was a certain segment of the fan base that was really delighted to see Nick Tate in Star Trek.
So, shall we?
Yes, we shall. Would you like to do the honors?
Okay, so we open to Captain Picard monologuing, and it's like a completely pointless minor conflict which we never really come to again.
Yeah. He's talking about he has to mediate this dispute that we never actually reach.
Yeah,
because it gets sidetracked first, and it's made me reflect on just how much of like Star Trek dialogue, certainly in this era, just doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah,
right. Starting with the star date, it doesn't matter.
Oh, very good point. Yes,
setting up this dispute that you're not actually going to spend any time on also doesn't matter.
No, I mean, yes, it makes sense. Wesley shows that he still has quite a lot to learn at the academy, because if you are being summoned to the bridge and you are working with dangerous volatile chemicals, you don't just say, "Yes, Captain, I'm on my way," and then show up 10 minutes late.
Because that's what he said. Come on, you've got sound effects. Play the clip. Here we go. Start with this one.
Mr. Crusher, I summoned you almost 10 minutes ago.
I was in the middle of a very important experiment. I was using some very volatile compounds. I couldn't just leave them lying out.
Excuse me, Mr. Crusher.
So what are the odds that was an actual science experiment, and what are the odds that he's talking about some of the new sort of masturbation techniques he's been learning from his colleagues. Like, that was working with a very volatile compound.
But either way, you tell them, acknowledge, sir, I am slightly delayed. I will be there in 10 minutes. Like, that's what you say when
yes,
you like.
exactly.
Like, if you can't like go there immediately, if you know there's going to be a delay, you tell them. You don't just show up 10 minutes later and go like, where the fuck were you?
I've got to vent all the atmosphere out of my room to get the amyl nitrate fumes out before Mom cleans up.
Wow. I was cleaning records.
And he's unimpressed.
She expects you to report in 2 weeks. A position has opened up this year's class.
Yes, so he is basically, there's been an opening in the academy, mid-season opening, and they are dropping him in there just,
You know how you could just drop into a school?
Halfway down the second term, yeah, especially with like Starfleet Academy and protocols and everything.
Yep, and Picard says that...
You're going to have to work overtime in order to catch up.
Yeah.
But I have assured the Admiral that you are capable of it. Please don't make a liar out of me.
I wonder if they have something like boot camp there, like, where they like send the new recruits off to like Death Valley for the first 2 weeks or something just to get
remember in Enterprise, they talked about
survival. That's survival. Yeah, I know that. But I mean, I can imagine that with the new people, you want them to like have a clear break with their previous life. You want them to bond together. So
the indoctrination.
First, the indoctrination. Yes, in the wrong sense of the word. But
come on, you're fine, whatever. Yeah, you're right. Like, he's missing out on that group cohesion. Although I don't know whether academies do this the same way.
I mean, it's kind of like like university. They have Fresher Week.
Yeah,
which is kind of that.
Yeah.
I can imagine that
opportunity for mixing and everything. Yeah, Wesley's coming from an odd situation where he's actually served on a starship before he's had this training. So I'm sure that there's an accelerated course that sort of accepts all the learning that he's done in the meantime. Like, he's definitely done basic boot on the holodeck.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point too. Yes,
right. He wouldn't be allowed on shuttle missions otherwise.
I do love the idea of Wesley getting to Starfleet Academy and being like, look, this is all this experience that I have. I did this test, and I did this, and I did this. And then them just hearing that and be like, yeah, but it wasn't through our program, so it doesn't really count. We're not going to count those credits. Really, I just want Wesley to have like the community college to non-community college experience that a lot of people have of just like, cool, this is totally going to count, right? And then it doesn't.
However, their little one-on-one is interrupted.
Captain.
Oh, yes.
I'm picking up a general distress signal from Gamelon 5.
Or is it from Chamber Orchestra 7 or Big Band 9?
Yeah. The gamelan is a melodious drum instrument, I think you'd call it.
No. It's a percussion. No, actually, the orchestra.
Steel drum-ish.
No, the orchestra is called gamelan. They use like inverted bowls and everything. That's the drum section. But the clinking sound that you're referring to is produced by an instrument called an anklung, which is kind of like a bamboo thing, which is shaken, and the bamboo stick, which is tuned, moves back and forth, and that creates the rumbling the sound. And you basically, for each note, you need one player, because they just all stand there like a chorus, and then they shake their instrument at the right time.
Oh, that's awesome! These are popular instruments in Southeast Asia, particularly Indonesia, which is where we know them from.
But the gamelan is the entire orchestra, not just the anklung section.
Oh, I recently saw a clip of the high school girls marimba orchestra of like Johannesburg.
Oh wow!
So to say, and they were doing Verdi, and it was just so charming, and they had this fantastic energy. These girls from like aged 6 to 16, all playing various.
Quite a broad range, yes.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But yes. The chairman Songi of Gamelan 5 has been there, an unidentified spacecraft, which we later know that it is going to be a Malon freighter, but which is like slowly been making its way all the way from the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah,
it's been just drifting for 1,000 years or something.
Because she mentions that
an unidentified spacecraft has entered orbit above our planet.
It's projecting a lot of radiation, so
we can only assume we are under attack.
Yes.
But the ship will not answer.
They are a peaceful planet. They can't defend themselves. They also don't have space tugs. They don't have any...
No, they live in a system with an asteroid belt, and they don't even have, like, asteroid deflection technology of any kind.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Whatever the plot requires.
So the captain decides, all right, Enterprise will go and take care of this. I'm going to go to these this mining dispute.
Yeah.
With Wesley in tow.
Because, yes, I guess he wants a little bit more... he actually says that later. It's like
Yeah.
he wants a little bit more company before Wesley leaves. Fortunately, the miners have sent a shuttle to bring them there, which he was just going to ignore. Because first of all, the Enterprise was on its way to the colony, and they're like, "Oh, very nice of you to bring a shuttle. Why don't you park it over there while we fly back?"
We'll deliver your shuttle back to you. I don't know what the deal was. Yeah, why was he here? But this is Captain Durgo, who's made some modifications to the engines.
Yes, much to George's surprise.
Yeah, and you see Durgo do a slightly little hip cock as he invites Wesley to...
You can study it if you want.
Geordie, I mean.
Oh, right. I was going to say, it's like...
No,
you went like, they're flirting.
They're flirting so hard, but Geordie's not having any of it. God, this is now opening up a headcanon that really... So Geordie is sort of had been written as being unfuckable, which is hugely unfair toward possibly one of the sexiest men on on the Enterprise. But maybe he's just not explored the right parts of himself, because he's getting a fantastic opportunity to get his Jeffrey's tubes just blown out here.
Well, I mean, they don't have the opportunity because the freighter, if the shuttle has to depart because the Enterprise has to head for Gamelan 5.
Yep. And the captains greet one another.
Yes.
Captain Picard. Captain Durgo of the shuttlecraft Nenevik.
Named for Larry Nemeczek.
Oh, okay.
Known to Star Trek fans, he's a Star Trek archivist and a writer of some note. Chief, can you give the credits for Larry Nemeczek, please?
Yes, so Larry Nemeczek has written a ton of the official episode guides. He also got a writer credit for the Season 7 Voyager episode Prophecy. He had a cameo in the final episode of Enterprise. He's really just like an archivist, exactly that, like Kaki said. He also runs the Trek Files, an official Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. So he's really core to a lot of the history of Star Trek lore and the making of Star Trek.
Thank you.
Okay, so check out this shuttle. So there's like a...
all right.
It's like, it kind of has roughly the same layout as a standard Enterprise shuttle.
Yeah, it's a little dinky, snub-nosed kind of thing.
But there's like a doorway there, which is not the outside door.
Oh?
No, because Picard is not in the room. Only when the...
oh, you mean the interior?
Yes. I'm talking about... we'll talk about the interior later.
Wait, then where are we at? So there's still the exterior because they're in the shuttle bay.
Right. Oh.
At first.
Sorry, I was just like... I'd already moved on to when they are like in the shuttle itself.
Okay, no,
right.
I'm trying to follow along. So the Enterprise has warped off, and we see the cockpit area of the shuttle.
Captain, will you take ops?
I'll let Ensign Crusher perform that task. I have to study up on Regalian law.
But yes, so look at the interior of the shuttle. So it's like it's like try to picture how big this room is. Like we see a shot from the other side later. It's a fairly normal shuttle.
It's a three-person cockpit.
And now after the opening credits, when the trouble begins,
because one of the engine blows out.
Yes, immediately sliding door opens. Picard comes through from a room behind the shuttle. All right. Now, there's a whole lot of blah, 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 scanning which is the closest which is the closest
I'm trying
planet.
to follow along.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, look at the outside of the shuttle after we get... there's an overview shot a little bit later where you can see the shuttle...
This is an audio medium, so I'm struggling along, but our audience is...
Now, imagine you've seen the room on the inside. You know, how thick is the hull? How big is that cockpit? How much of that ship would you think the cockpit takes up?
I don't know. I mean, I would assume not a lot.
Well, considering the size of the cockpit, there's 3 stations in front of each other. There's room behind the last chair. And then there's a bulkhead. And then there's a doorway. And then we're out of shuttle at this point.
Right, okay.
I mean, unless Picard was sitting on the toilet doing his reading, I don't know where he was.
Okay, so all of it, this is to say that they made the interior set larger than the exterior prop. Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm not going to raise shields on that. It's Star Trek, man. Like, what are they going to do? They're not going to build a whole ass spaceship like in. If they just waited a little bit, they just could have gone to Australia.
Yeah.
Where Pitch Black. Do you remember the film with Claudia Black?
Yes.
where they did indeed build a giant spaceship prop to just drop in the desert of Australia.
Oh, nice.
And it's still there.
Oh, okay.
Right, the bits of it, because...
Cool.
Just,
I mean, it doesn't,
it's a little tourist
It
destination.
doesn't rain very often in those areas, yes.
No, I think it's an opal mining town.
Okay, yeah, that's, again, that sounds like a thing for Australia.
Yep.
It's Cooperpedia or something, whatever it is, probably.
Oh, yeah, I forget exactly what it was called. It came up during one of our episodes
Probably
of
somewhere around there.
Farscape we did. And then, it has the distinction, it had one movie theater where it still has a sign saying, please no dynamite in the theater. Because, you had miners, and dynamite was expensive equipment. You want to keep that on your person.
Sure, yeah, I can see that. So I've got a little plasma event here about the captain.
Okay,
It's you are flying a shuttle of questionable quality, even though
Captain Durgo.
Right.
We have two captains,
Yes.
yeah?
And he doesn't know his outs. And they have to go
outs?
This is the system of where the miners live, right?
Yes, they're exactly
50 million kilometers to Pentaurus 5.
Right. So
We
they
may have to put down somewhere else.
Yeah.
So they are in his native system. And yet they have to go scanning for planets where he should know where to. When you file your flight plan,
absolutely.
You should know where his outs are in case there's a...
This is not a Durgo problem. This is a Star Trek problem.
Right.
They have to... Okay, long-range scanners. What can you tell us about this planet? Isn't it charted? It should be in your database.
Right, yeah.
Right, it should be in the metadata of the video signal that you're getting, whether they're a Federation membership, how many minutes of Starfleet contact they're allowed.
Is shelter from the sun.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
See, not so easy, the technology is.
It's like when you're trying to scroll and you occasionally accidentally click of GIF.
We're getting better at it. Oh, hey, we've been doing this for a year.
Oh, we have.
Yeah. This is the 1-year anniversary, and we're just sort of blasting through it.
Wow.
With another Crusher episode.
This is episode 52 then, I guess.
We dropped 5 on the launch day, but this should be coming out just about at the day. So,
yay us?
Yeah, and to the
and yay Greg?
Yeah. It's weird. We don't really have a way to sort of celebrate this.
No. I mean, I can get something green from the little cabinet.
That's your solution to everything. I mean, that's also how we celebrated the series finale of Battlestar Galactica.
That's right. Yes, we made ourselves some homemade ambrosia.
There you go. Er is een jarig, hoera, hoera, dat kun je wel zien, dat zijn wij.
Yes.
Well, happy birthday to us. And as a reward, they drop on a moon that happens to be nearby that's M-class-ish, has a mean temperature of 55 degrees Celsius, which is outside of human survival range.
Especially mean temperature.
So, I haven't experienced the hottest that it has been here where I live. However, there was a week where it just was consistently 48 degrees Celsius. We broke records one day after the other, just 48 degrees Celsius constantly back to back to back. So, yeah, I kind of have a feeling of what 55 Celsius would be like, and every degree Fahrenheit at least over 110, you feel every single degree of that. So I can't imagine 100. Oh no, you don't want to walk outside for longer than 10 minutes. Jeez.
The sun is baking down on the shuttle. We're going to need shelter. We're going to have to get out.
Gorgeous. We get these beautiful images. These are some of the best looking shots in the next generation.
I think it's like the Bonneville Salt Flats or something like that.
I had that in the. Oh, I have research material. Give me that back.
Oh, okay.
Yes. We gotta do this. What I have right here is a copy of the Captain's Logs book, the unauthorized complete Trek voyages through the entire 30-year Star Trek history up through Voyager. This was a new contribution to the Joy of Trek research library, contributed by a friend of the show and lemon-stealing whore Crimson. And, this is a fantastic resource because, actually a lot of the trivia that we find in the trivia, or that I find in my research section, comes from this book. So there's about the final mission, we have, Michael Piller relating some information, who says, Michael Piller, there's been a lot of very bad feeling around here about the way Tasha Yar was sent off.
Yeah.
So we were determined to give Wesley a send-off that had real value and something that stayed with us. And how initially the script called for an ice planet, But then they went, we're not really good at ice planets, and it looked hokey.
Yeah.
So let's instead do something in the desert, and it was quite expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they had to drive them all out there for a few days of shooting with the shuttle and everything. And then, the cave scene is just like clearly a soundstage.
Oh, yeah, that was stage 16.
Yeah.
And initially, there was a desire to do the fountain outside as well, but...
right, yeah, that would have been
one of the producers, let me see, David Livingston. The only thing I said they couldn't do was they wanted to go back outside again, and I said we had to do it inside. They wanted to do the fountain as an exterior.
Right.
Like, no, it's very expensive.
Not happening there, yeah. Okay, so
these are some cool new notes. Thank you, Crimson, for this contribution. Oh, and by the way, he has another gift for you.
Oh.
Which is these charming little... Describe what I'm handing to you right now.
I've been handed 2 little books about the size of a mobile phone. One of them is called the Starfleet Engineering Notebook from the United Federation of Planets, and the other is the Starfleet Medical Notebook.
The little notebooks.
They're actual genuine notebooks. They're still in plastic, so I'm just...
very precious to us.
Yes, I shall leave them intact for now. If they're only notebooks and is there actually content in them? Or are they just...
I think they're just straight up little Moleskine.
Very nice. Yes. Oh, yes. The technical one is gridded, and the medical one just seems to have lines in it. Oh, that is very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for those. Those are lovely.
Thank you, Crimson. They'll be put to good use, I'm sure. So these gorgeous shots where Picard looks like such a star.
Oh, yeah.
Standing on top of the shuttle, framed against the sun, and immediately, as we say in Dutch, handing out the sheets.
Yes.
The first thing we'll need is shelter from the sun. In this heat, the shuttle will act like an oven.
Oh boy, do I know this all too well from when I just ran in to grab groceries and my car just heats up. Yeah. I know this too well. Why do I live here? What am I doing? Can someone teleport me out of here? Mayday! Mayday!
And even Wesley looks much more mature in these shots.
Oh yeah, very, very studly. Captain Picard asks Durgo to...
get out the emergency supplies, especially the water. There's no water.
Food and water?
The replicator. Damaged beyond repair.
Surely you have emergency supplies.
This isn't a starship.
Yep.
And, here comes another little plasma vent. Replicator, I mean, I guess it just builds molecules out of nothing, and there's no tank of water or other solvents, nutrients, proteins, whatever it combines into whatever it's replicating.
Yeah, we don't know.
No, it just takes it straight out of energy, fuses them into the elements that it requires, and
maybe just a little bit of spare deuterium.
Those things must run really hot on power. Remember, ESMC squared, the amount of energy you need to output to produce a glass of water.
It's pretty enormous.
That would be the main reactor from the bloody Enterprise you need for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Just to run a single... Anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm going to let you have that one. I'm looking for a sound effect where you've just actually won, which...
Coming next!
Okay, so you've just won that one.
Wow.
But yeah, they're in the middle of the desert, and...
Are you telling me there's no water?
Dun, dun, dun! We cut back.
Right, yeah, okay. Actually, I propose that we take this plot line and talk it through and not keep jumping back and forth between what's going on with Enterprise.
Agreed.
Because Enterprise has to deal with the Malon freighter. I'm just I know it's not the Malon, but I'm just going to keep calling it that just for convenience sake.
Discover...
The vessel reads as an unmanned sublight freighter. Origin. Indeterminate.
Yeah, I kind of love the idea. It's even brown, like the Malon ships are. That it's from the Delta Quadrant... And that, before they found the void, they just sent off...
Yeah, just occasionally, whenever they have another full one, they just, push it off. So it's been contaminating the planet, because it's apparently leaking stuff, which is then deorbiting or something. Or it's just irradiating so massively.
Yeah.
And the Enterprise has to deal with it. First, they try to put some thrusters on.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. Like that was the thing. Okay, you don't. The first idea was to tow it. No, you don't want to do that. You have like a fleet of shuttles,
right?
All sorts of things.
But also, it's like it's too dangerous to tow it because radiation, and so they decide to put some thrusters on it. One of them breaks off, goes careening off into the distance, spreading even more dangerous radiation.
Oh no! Now we'll definitely have to go back to Plan A.
Exactly. So it's back to towing.
Getting like updates from everyone about how much radiation can we absorb.
Yes.
13 millirads and
deadly radiation level in 5 minutes.
Warning. Lethal radiation exposure in 10 seconds.
You're not. That means
how
it's called an LD50, not a.
Yeah. Now explain LD50 to those of us who don't know what that is.
It's basically the amount of radiation you get can have and then have a 50% chance of surviving.
Yeah, so the lethal dose at 50%, which is not just for radiation. It's for
no, I guess not. Yeah, you're
coffee has an established LD50, and it's it's
fairly high.
Statistically tested with animals, like it means that this is where rats have
marijuana also have something, but in order for the amount of weed you'd have to consume to get there would be more deadly if it fell on your head from a.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I think I saw that once. Like LSD has something similar, but that quantity is only lethal if you inject it into your blood, and at that point, it's mostly because it lowers the pH.
Yes.
Rather than does any funky stuff to your brain.
So yes, they set up the ship for towing, and this is just basically the whole plot point here is just to keep the Enterprise away from the search. That's what it is. It's like
exactly.
That's the entire.
They have another distraction.
They don't split the ship, which would have also been a fantastic solution here. Just leave the drive section to deal with the freighter. Also, keep 80% of the crew away from the radiation. It would be a fantastic situation to do that, but no, it's
And also for conducting searches, if you don't need warp, if you're just in the system, then separating the...
Right, I think the saucer section has its own warp drive, doesn't it?
It doesn't have its own warp drive. Those are unique to the drive section, but it does have those big, strong impulse
engines. Yes.
So you should be able to conduct a...
Okay, so maybe that's why they can't do it, because if they're obviously in a different system than the...
in this case.
Because they're in Gamelan and not in whatever the minor section was, so that wouldn't work.
It doesn't come up.
No.
I think these are beautiful. We're watching the remastered editions.
Yeah.
And they're just gorgeous. These shots of the ship, the peril that everyone's under. Riker commanding. He has the commanding beard. We have these beautiful shots of the bridge where he always does that sort of leg strut where he walks up to someone's console and puts his foot all over their command console. Like, excuse me, sir?
Yes.
Excuse me?
You're leaving footprints on my console.
And Beverly, this is what the sort of emotional arc is. Beverly has to deal with the fact that she's running this medical operation, but also dealing with
for Wesley.
Commander, a message from the mining settlement on Pintaris 5. The shuttlecraft carrying Captain Picard has not yet arrived.
Can you put out a search? We don't have a lot of ships. Barely have any shuttles, but they'll try. They still managed to search 2 entire planets.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Not easy to do that. And Deanna even comes to check up on Beverly as she's getting her team organized to provide medical relief to the planet.
Yes. And she's like, I'm fine. Clearly not fine, but you can see it on the look on Deanna's face. She's like, who, of course, as Beta said, knows exactly when someone is like...
I wonder if that's the case. Because, Dr. Crusher is a seasoned medical professional.
True.
She has to deal with these kinds of, compartmentalizing personal worry for someone very often. Most of her patients are people that she's known for years.
Yeah.
Right, as a Starship medic.
Yes. So that's also kind of interesting point that came up in the people talking about this episode. It's how that is actually, it's obviously required for plot reasons, but, on a semi-militaristically run institution like the Federation, there would be regular crew rotations. People would be moving in and out of positions, and you wouldn't have the same core bridge crew for 7 years.
Oh, so. Yeah.
I mean, Riker wouldn't keep turning down promotions. Picard wouldn't keep turning down promotions. They probably wouldn't be allowed to.
Yeah. Use it or lose it.
Exactly.
I've never understood how it works in Starfleet. This is just how Earth militaries work, right?
Right, yes, but you'd think that they do that for a reason.
Oh, maybe it's because humans just have much shorter lifespans than the average within Starfleet.
Oh, yes.
So they do regular crew rotations, once every 60 to 80 years. Because you don't want to get, you don't want to have just one ship for your entire life. You want to get to 10 or 20 different stations before you promote out.
Right, yes.
So once every 10 or 20 years, by the time that you're 2000, then you're ready for rear admiral position.
Very good, yes. But yes, lazy Starfleet, who is so fat with power, has completely forgotten about orbital mechanics yet once again. Also,
what now?
Also,
what fucking now?
Also, coplanar thinking. It's like, I believe that's something that Khan was being accused of in
Give the example. What are you talking about? The audience has not viewed this episode as recently.
The Melon ship has been caught by Gamelan 5's orbit. It's in orbit.
Somehow, yeah.
So clearly now, in order to get rid of it, it must be towed into the sun.
Yes.
But they have to go through the asteroid belt.
Yeah.
Or you could give it a little planar tilt.
Yeah.
Loop it over the asteroid and let it go once you pull it out of orbit and set it on the... All you have to do is use your tractor beam to change the orbit of the ship.
Because an asteroid field is a ring, right? In the plane of a solar system.
You just
which is not knowledge that everyone has, so you can go up and over
it. But Starfleet should,
Yes, because just helping the audience to understand your very reasonable point. You're completely correct.
They could just tow it for 10 minutes until it's got the right orbital characteristics and then let go and it'll go into the sun all by its onesie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could install shield generators on the outside and give it a push.
I don't think that works because you can't use the tractor beam through shields. That's well established.
Well, the whole idea is that this ship cannot be just pushed toward the sun because then it would be broken up by the asteroid field unless you put shields on it.
Right, yes.
And then it could just bully its way.
I guess. We also don't see a single asteroid in the... Oh, no, we do towards the end a little bit.
Yeah, there are.
Right at the end, there's a little bit... I believe my comment was something to turn the main viewer to screensaver 4. But
and then that final shot of the Enterprise peeling off as they
10 seconds to spare before lethal radiation.
Yeah. And then it goes sailing into the sun. And there's beautiful visual harmony between the Gamelan sun and the desert sun on this Pentaurus moon. Where we now find ourselves, because this, I thought it was a great idea to split these off.
Right.
This is where we find ourselves. And Captain Picard is taking charge of Captain Durgo very directly.
Yes, he's clearly not having any of it. It's like...
You got no right to make the decisions. I'm the captain of this ship.
He takes charge. He's like, okay, he fashions a crude arrow of parts of the ship to indicate the direction in which they're going, which is good practice. I mean, generally speaking, if you are lost and you are with a car, stay with the vehicle.
Yes.
Because the chances of the vehicle being found and are much greater than the chances of you being found if you go wandering off. But in the situation here, the ship would be turned into an oven. They clearly need shelter is more important than findability at this point. So yes,
out in the open, they might not make it until the evening. They have no idea how long the day is
yes,
here.
Very good point.
Because they don't have a database.
Yep.
To know this. But Captain Durgo puts up a bit of a fight.
Yeah.
You got no right to make the decisions.
Standing on his stripes, as we say in the Netherlands, because he's the captain of this ship.
Yep.
And Picard manages to sort of weasel his way through there by saying,
Captain Durgo, you're an able pilot.
And
I welcome your input.
Yeah.
But did we miss anything? And it's like, and Durgo has to admit, no, okay, well, you're actually right. I was just but yeah.
Which
hard arguing with someone about principles, about command decisions, if the person is actually call was the right one.
Yeah, but it is Durgo's ship.
True, but they're not on the ship anymore.
Right, no, true.
So they can sue him for not fulfilling his contract, but first you might want to get out of the sun.
Yeah, that's true. So they set off in the direction of some mountains that they saw, which will at least provide some shelter. There's an arrow on the ground pointing away from, indeed, the too small prop of a shuttle.
Yeah.
To explain that door. And
Durgo goes stumbling. Wesley helps him up and berates him about
And you were worried about how tough the captain is?
Yeah.
This is where we see that or at least the implication is heavy that Durgo's been holding back water.
Yes, because we see him turning toward the camera, and he's got this clear bottle, which he takes a swig and he hides again. And they talk a bit more about whether they found water. They've got these cool, this headwear.
Yeah.
It looks really awesome. Oh, they've made belts for themselves. Oh, and into those belts, they've tucked 100-year-old, TOS-era phasers.
Right, yes, I noticed that.
That Durgo just happened to have.
Yeah, he doesn't have any spare water or rations, but he does have 4 phases.
Yeah, well, like he mentioned, I've got to pick what I transfer, and this might pick up, a few extra credits at the exchange.
But Wesley found it's an energy reading, low frequency M, I believe he says. Yes.
Yeah, it's very technical, right? They call it a technical story, Jerry Taylor.
Right.
They always kind of dread because the fans do like them when they sort of work out and are interesting, but they're really hard to write from a dramatic point of view.
Oh, of course, yes.
Because it's got to be an interesting science fiction conceit. But if you get really into that, it often gets in the way of like peril and drama and the things that you actually feel as a viewer. And we get a bit of mystery about what it could be. Like, it's highly organized. Like, could it be a
life form?
It's possible.
Possible. The pattern is fairly organized.
Organized, yes. Well, but we can't stay here, so we might as well go in that direction. Because
on to Soundstage 16.
Yes.
It's nice and cool in here.
It should be. I mean, there's a doorway, there's like some stairs, which is interesting. There's a little discussion about there has to be water here because, oh no, caves can be formed by other things and water. You can kind of see these roughly hewn steps out in the, like you don't see those a lot in nature.
No, exactly. I'm reminded of Mariner remark. There's an episode of Lower Decks that's all about caves because they happen so much in Starfleet.
Yes. I like a good cave. The flat floors, the weird smell. Cavey.
It's so weird.
This is where they find out, like, oh, you've been hiding water. No, it's alcohol. Well, this is even worse.
Yeah, because he says...
I wouldn't hide water.
Which he probably wouldn't have.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that there's a really pessimistic reading of Captain Durgo, which is what Wesley is doing. Like, he sees the worst in Captain Durgo. And Picard... I think it has a much more balanced view because, like, this may just be an alcoholic.
Right.
Like, he may just be dealing with alcoholism. So when he was hiding that, like, he was concealing an unhealthy coping mechanism that he's embarrassed about.
Very well possible because he uses the every alcoholic's defense.
Alcohol. It's medicinal.
Yeah. You don't know how alcohol interacts with his metabolism.
True.
None of us know that.
Well, he's not human?
He doesn't look human, does he?
Yeah, could be.
Human-ish.
Be weird. Unlike the Gamelan 5 natives, who again have the weird little mouth covering things, which is...
Yeah, that actor did not get a lot of like ability to act through all that latex.
No.
But Picard takes it from him in a very determined fashion because he considers that...
This is more valuable to us as a coolant or disinfectant.
Put it by the medical supplies.
Now this is sort of harkens back to another movie or something. Chief, what is this referring to?
So this does look to be referring to the Shackleton Rowett expedition of the Antarctic exploration, where they're just trying to explore the Antarctic Circle and everything. And it really does look like a lot of this just comes from a television recreation that was popular around the time of this writing and airing, because one of the main people in the Shackleton expedition was kind of known to be a drunkard. And so that really kind of seems to be where this is coming from is, he just stashed it. There's a lot of apocrypha here and a lot of like hearsay, so it's a little bit difficult to say with certainty, but that's what it seems to be referring to.
Oh, that will have been interesting to listen to.
Excellent.
At some point. So they're looking for water. They're splitting up to explore this cave.
And they find it. There's a gorgeous little fountain.
Yeah.
Very nice little water party.
Yeah, apparently they had huge problems with this. Initially, they were going to do it as a prop, then as what's known as an optical. They were going to sort of paste it in optically, and then that also didn't quite work out, and it was actually very, very difficult to deal with.
Oh, okay. You'd think
like
you'd just go to a garden center and let the people, the prop department, go nuts with the foam and the...
Well, I think one reason why you wouldn't want to do it, because then you can't hear the actors over the bubbling.
Sure.
And if you're recording sound on the soundstage, as I think they were still doing on there, then
right. Yeah, it's okay.
But it looks gorgeous. There's this beautiful little sort of temple-like environment.
Yes. Like a forum, like an...
Yes, an amphitheater.
Yes.
Got 3 rows of ledges, semicircular around this beautiful thing in the middle.
Which I can imagine, if you're living on a desert planet, then a fountain like this would be like...
Yeah. It would be sacred. It would be revered.
Also, where's the water going? There's no runoff.
Interesting that you ask where it's going and not where it's coming from.
Well, I mean, clearly there's a fountain. There's a well here.
Yeah.
Because a fountain, and unless there's like some sort of mechanism which is like circulating, it would probably be evaporated off at this point. So it clearly must be going somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of water coming through. It's quite kind of high throughput.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a force field around it. Durgo bounces off it. Immediately draws his phaser, tries to shoot it.
Yeah. And this is the sort of science versus action theme that we deal with. Like, these two captains, Durgo and Picard, have very different attitudes about when the time for action and when the time for thought is. Because Picard is a very cerebral man. And Durgo, in this case, is much more, we're going to have to find something out. It's great to be cautious. It's great to gather information. But one of the ways to gather information is to try something and see what happens.
Shoots it, yes.
Well, certainly that.
Shooting at it erects a force field and summons the Guardian, which is kind of like this blob of light. And
it looked like God's wrath from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes. I see
after the Nazis open the Ark, then all these things come out,
a little bit
whooshing around.
Like the lights that they see in the original Battlestar Galactica series, that we watched, the lights which were overtaking the... bit like that as well.
Yeah.
This causes the the Guardian to like fly around, bang into the walls, dislodging some rocks which threaten to fall on Wesley. Picard bravely pushes Wesley aside and instead of diving after him, stands there
looking up. No, I know. I have that G favorite. Look, they're on a 7-day filming schedule. They can't all be winners, right? And he gets hit in the noggin. He's badly injured.
Broke the leg, broken arm, head wound, potential internal injuries. Should the medical tricorder be able to... if the regular tricorder be able to pick up on internal bleeding?
Yes, but that's something that Wesley isn't telling him.
Right.
Right? The captain asks, or Captain Durgo asks him...
Will you tell him the truth?
Because even without his tricorder, he can tell that the Picard is bleeding inside.
He's seen it before, yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting. So a tricorder, as I believe, is called a tricorder because it's used for medical, science, and engineering purposes.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, Chief, but that's how I understand why it's called a tricorder. And then you have medical tricorders, but you never hear about any of the other tricorders. So what's the difference? It's like it's just a different interface, it's just optimized, but why call still a tricorder? He's like, just
in the next generation, medical tricorders have a special detachable little sensor nodule, the woo-woo-woo-woo-woo-woo, which the regular tricorder doesn't.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a little plug-in module.
Probe.
So like for close-up scanning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So you can...
Sure. But I assume that because it's still a tricorder, it still does all the other functions as well.
Yeah, but it has a different layout of buttons, I guess. It's just a tricorder does whatever. It just
whatever the plot requires. Yes.
Yeah. It's always spoken to my imagination. Imagine having a device that can gather all this information, and then you actually look at it and you go, those screens are tiny and there's 4 buttons. And the labeling is weird. And how would they actually work?
This is because we touchscreens became ubiquitous.
Yeah.
This is like late 80s. They're like season 4, so it's early 90s.
1990 is when this came out. I still love in Picard season 2 when they open up their tricorder and inside it's clearly a prop built around a Samsung Z Flip 4 phone, which was the phone that I had until I had to switch for work.
Nice. Yes.
Fantastic. Because, it has a full L-Cards interface, and it's nice and compact in the pocket. It's fantastic.
So apart from the real answer that a tricorder can just do whatever the writer says that it needs to do, it really just kind of looks like that a tricorder can do some very basic level scanning stuff. So it could do field medicine, emergency, tourniquet type stuff where you just need to get someone stable or figure out what's going on with them. Whereas a medical tricorder would be a little bit more, hey, this is what your cholesterol is. This is what kind of disease you have. And it can get a lot more minute granular versus just hey, I just need to make sure that you're stable so we can figure out what's wrong with you in a more capable hands. That's what I'm seeing. That's what makes sense to me. But really, it's just hey, what does the writer want it to do? Let's make it do that. That works.
So this sets up a very important conflict because Picard, while he's je suis fatigué, he's terribly tired and injured, is trying to counsel Wesley on dealing with Durgo.
Yeah.
Yep, because he's
willful, stubborn, and dangerous.
And Wesley says, no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You can do it. You
Yes.
can do it. And he says he's got no feeling in his right leg. His vision is blurred.
I'm going to get worse, not better.
And he's going to have to stand up to Durgo on his own. Like, this is the core of this episode, right? The test of manhood, essentially, for a boy.
Yes.
To,
having to deal with a surly, I think.
Surly is a word?
Starship captain who is indeed, like, has his own opinions and things, who is going to go and look at his phaser, which is now encased in selenium, yes?
These are selenium fibers.
Yeah. It's been sort of
Electrically
enwebbed.
deposited.
Yep. Yeah, it looks a bit like a chunk of plastic with white lines running through it.
Yeah, it looks like a chrysalis.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, so whatever this sentry is, which I genuinely love that we don't learn anything about it. Like, it doesn't, like, it's not lethal by default.
No,
it went with the weapon.
as long as you stay away from the water. I mean, it won't let you get to the water, and if you, like, try to shoot it, then it starts going like, okay, well, yeah, we'll take care of the weapon. Although in the second time round,
exactly,
he does go, okay, so there's clearly an escalation of the conflict here.
Yeah,
because Wesley notices that
The EM pattern is back down. It only peaks when we move towards the water.
So there's clearly something that changes, and he figures, he conjectures that
If I can figure out how to manipulate the frequency, maybe I can control it.
Yeah. So he's going through the information that they have, and he's doing some tests. He's asking Durgo to approach it.
Yeah.
And Durgo's like,
no, we're going to shoot some more.
Well,
that's pretty much that's literally what
No,
Durgo.
you're absolutely right.
Enough talking, enough thinking. It's time to do something.
Yep. And so anyway, I started blasting.
It's like, we're going to do exactly the same thing as we did before, except now we're going to do it from two sides.
Yes. Yeah, it's actually quite a cunning plan.
Yeah. He basically starts leaning on Wesley, saying like, okay, you are going to do your part of my plan, or so help me.
I mean, he's a captain, right? Wouldn't you expect someone with that kind of experience to want to take charge? Wouldn't you expect someone with years of experience to sort of balk at the idea, okay, we've got this wet behind the ears, uppity teen,
right,
who has some experience on a big fancy spaceship, a big sort of science yacht.
Soft, and he doesn't know what's going on.
Exactly. Like, I'm kind of on Team Durgo. Like, I understand his characterization, and his life experience has led him here. It's just
right, but
he happens to be outnumbered by these tryhards who think that their way is the superior way.
Right. I mean, turns out he's wrong. You know, that
yeah, but that can always happen, right? That doesn't invalidate.
Also, he doesn't have anything to support it. I mean, he has theories like, let's shoot at it, that'll work. No, that didn't work. Let's shoot at it harder, that'll definitely work.
It's a force field. Force fields get taken down by energy weapons. That's a very reasonable assumption.
Also, yeah, why not like shoot at the rock, like at wherever the force field is being projected from?
That's also a good idea. Yeah.
I mean, but that's just me. So,
but he puts pressure on Wesley, who protests because
just while we are doing that, your captain is dying.
Right?
No, and he's got a good point. Yes, maybe water is going to help. It's certainly probably not going to make it any worse.
You've got two captains leaning on a very impressionable young man.
Yeah,
and one of them's dying, and the other one has a plan,
and a phaser.
Yeah. So the test for Wesley is, who does he follow? Like, does he follow whoever's most recently activating his subservience fetish?
Well,
or
the problem is kind of solved for him, because he does, in fact, do as he's told, but rather than hold the phaser himself, he sets it to auto and puts it on the ledge.
Yeah, that was Durgo's plan.
Oh, okay. And then Durgo is shooting at it from the other side. So the entity shows up again, encases Wesley's phaser, and then goes straight for Durgo, and not just gets his phaser this time, but all of him.
Yep. And Durgo is crystallized, and he's dead.
We get a final shot of his face peeking out through the chrysalis.
Yeah. And now,
shocked face of surprised Pikachu.
Yeah, oh no. And when we cut back to the room with Picard in it, we see Wesley stacking some rocks, and I thought he was like doing a burial.
Yes, that's the first. That's the first impression you get as well. Yeah.
Until Picard says it's cold, and Wesley says,
"This should help,"
and phasers the rocks to make him glow. And I thought, oh whoa, funeral pyre.
I mean, we've seen this done before. Like Kim does it on the planet this is a fairly common tactic. There's at least several.
Oh, no, absolutely. We saw Chekhov doing it. Like,
right, that was it. Yeah, Chekhov does it. Kim does it at some point, I think.
And they sit around warming their hands on these glowing...
exactly. And like,
the glow of these
more.
rocks. Yeah, just phaser it a bit more. Yeah, but it has a different vibe to it when he's phasering what looks like a funerary mound.
Yes, okay, good point, yes. You can have both, it's like...
Picard is not doing well.
No, Picard is doing very poorly. He is starting to fade in and out, mostly out.
Yeah. Wesley has to remind him of the situation, which Picard said, "Oh yes, no, obviously."
But this is where they have their little heart to heart. Like when Wesley comments to Picard.
Do you remember when we took the shuttlecraft together to Starbase 515?
Yeah, I think that's when he had to get his heart replaced.
I think so. Well, I'm not sure why he would go alone with Wesley, but...
I was dreading it. 6 hours alone with you? But it didn't turn out the way that I thought.
Yeah, and they got to know one another, and it was a moment that he's very glad of. And of course, he's using this to try and keep Picard awake.
He's just talking to him, yeah. Like don't pass out, stay awake.
Yeah.
Which, it's good advice when someone who may or may not have a concussion. Like, don't let him go to sleep.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I do know that's something not to permit.
I think it's because you can't tell anymore whether someone's sleeping or unconscious.
Oh.
Just like when you're an alien who is like taking over the body of people which you're studying because you're letting them get onto a planet which is poisoned by...
Very good. 6 Star Trek Enterprise reference, bro. Well done.
So Chief Engineer Greg here, just to chime in, because this does appear to be a bit of a myth that is really just from a previous understanding of concussions that we really don't have. There was a couple of possible things. We thought that people may be slipping into comas if they sleep with a concussion, which isn't really the case, or that they may have a brain bleed that you can't really tell right away. But nowadays, we really don't think that's the case anymore. However, they will still advise that, you may want to wake someone up after they've been concussed if they do go to sleep, just kind of like make sure, hey, are you okay? Like, are you seeing any other symptoms develop? Just to make sure that they can actually physically get up and physically wake up, because if they can't, then it's a medical emergency. So it's a bit of a myth that you shouldn't let them go right back to sleep if they've been concussed, because it really just depends. And for actual medical advice, ask a doctor, not some random podcaster on the internet.
And Picard responds the right way. He does fully engage with what Wesley's saying, and when Wesley says he's honored that Picard brought him along, Picard apologizes. He was selfish.
Right.
Thought I wouldn't see you again. I'm sorry.
Right. He just wants to spend a little bit more time with, because they might just never see each other again.
True.
Careers go all sorts of places. They're both career
Sure, he
minded.
has enough contacts in Starfleet to pull some strings and see what's keep tabs on him. That seems like the kind of thing that Picard would do. Yes,
but it's not the same as you might never have a spare afternoon together. Again, you might meet at some function,
right? Yeah,
which is, I think, largely what happens.
And Wesley confesses that all his work,
I've done it all because I want you to be proud of me.
Which he's never told anybody. It's like, no, you don't have to tell them.
No,
very obvious to anybody.
Everyone knows.
Yes,
dogs know. No, not the memory of your beloved father who's in the great beyond. Not your mother.
No, it's all
it's all for this.
The captain, yeah.
This daddy figure that you're totally obsessed with now. As we were watching this, I sort of thought, am I going to try and do something with our little joke that we had previously about a subservience fetish? And no, I can't do that. This is a really important relationship.
This is too genuine here. It's it's played very well.
And of course, Picard has been a part of his life for a long time.
Yeah, for 3 years at this point.
No, before that.
Oh yes, of course, because
Picard and his father were very close friends.
Right, that was it. Yes.
And so was Beverly. They've gone back, but as Picard fades, instead of surrendering to despair,
when the going gets tough, the tough go, taking the tricorder apart.
Yep.
I've seen you think yourself out of worse situations than this, and I'm going to think us out of this.
Not going to let you die. He's going to rescue Picard, as Picard would have rescued so many others.
He is going to. Meanwhile,
The Enterprise is returning to the last known location of the missing shuttlecraft.
Oh yeah, good.
And they've dropped off the barge, and now they are they find a little bit of material from the shuttle, which is clearly not enough to put a whole shuttle together. So they must be somewhere else.
Yeah, but did you see how it's Beverly who draws the conclusion?
Then they're gone.
Not necessarily, Doctor.
There's something wrong with my clips where they're sounding just a little bit of...
a little bit mechanical.
I've got a longer one here. Let's see how this sounds.
You know, Durgo had his maneuvering thrusters rigged a funny way. Claimed it was more efficient if one of them blew.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
That sounds fine.
Yeah.
But yes, there are more
moons,
M-class moons,
M-ish.
although barely. And I mean, you'd think
which one is closest to the debris?
I mean, that's a very, very clever thing of.
I thought you were going
to.
I thought you were going to do a warp core on that one because I was like, okay, orbital mechanics.
They clearly don't know about orbital mechanics.
And the planet that the moon orbits may have moved away from the debris, which may have been in a different.
They can account for that.
Yeah, exactly. Like you've got to sort of backtrack, do a Newtonian reversal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like they clearly they've like this Starfleet. They've got the 3-body problem solved. You know?
Wow, that would be nice. You can model it at least. Wesley has an idea that he's working on.
That's it.
And Picard, who feels his end approaching, tries to sort of shift the focus.
Yes.
Because...
so much I wanted to tell you.
Right? In this time of peril, he's sort of accepting his death, and he's really reflecting on something that's essential to Picard, which is his relationship with children. Right? He's never liked them, but when he's contemplated like the length of his life and the mortality that we all share,
right?
Like not having children is a complicated subject for him.
Okay.
We meet later his nephew, Rene, the son of his brother Robert, who he feels like, okay, carrying on the Picard name.
Yes.
But they later come to die, as we find out in Generations.
Yes.
So, like, his relationship with Wesley and wanting to pass things on and wanting to have a relationship with this boy that he's never had because, as a man, Picard just doesn't have the emotional language to connect with him.
There's not, no, yeah.
And the boy's grown up now.
Yeah.
And he no longer has these opportunities.
Yes.
Right? He's leaving. So he gives him one more piece of advice.
I guess so, yes.
The only thing, like, he has, in his mind, he has minutes to live. What does he want to tell Wesley? Go and find someone at the academy.
Yes.
There's someone who meant a great deal to me.
Someone you must know. He's very wise. And
his name is Boothby.
And Wesley asks, what does he teach?
He's a groundskeeper.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I think this is the first time he's mentioned. He later
I believe the trivia mentions that he is, and he is indeed. He does come up later. He's like in, I think it's the episode like with the where Wesley's on the stunt fly team or something.
The first duty, I believe that is.
Yes,
yeah. Yes. He comes up in Voyager as well.
Oh, okay.
There's a wild episode where they find Starfleet Academy floating in space.
Right. I remember that, yes.
What the fuck is this? There's Boothby even there?
Because everybody knows Boothby, apparently.
Uh-huh.
But yes, he passes out.
And there's this, before he passes out, there's this beautiful moment where Picard opens up in that emotional way that he's never been able to before. Let's just listen to this.
Oh, I envy you, Wesley Crusher. You're just at the beginning of the adventure.
And he passes out.
Yes, well, no, not before he says.
I was always proud of you.
Which could have been his last words if things had gone differently.
I'm actually sort of choking up here. Like, imagine someone saying that to you, because like when Wesley leaves the room, he doesn't know that Picard's going to be alive when he comes back.
True,
right? He may have been stalling the work that he'd been doing just to spend more time with
Would have
Picard.
been unwise, but yes. His resolve is set, and he goes back into the fountain room.
Uses his phaser to attract the sentry.
Yes, then turns to face it, and by repeatedly pressing the same 4 buttons, manages to modify the EM field to get the...
And it's dope. I'm so into this scene. Yes, I understand all the criticism that it's unclear what he's doing, and we don't really... But, like, you see him standing with so much determination. You've got the lights flashing in his face. There's the wind everywhere. We know what this sentry, whatever it is, has done to another person who fired.
And again, in a reminiscent of the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes!
Like the lights passes right through him. His face
Safely.
starts to melt. Oh, no, wait. That's wrong.
And he uses the sentry to neutralize the shield around the water.
Which causes it to slowly withdraw in a dramatic effect.
It's real cool.
And there is now selenium-poisoned water.
Yeah, I was going to go. This is the moment to find out that, it's elderflower flavored. Oh, no, never mind. Oh, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Yes, it's like it's LaCroix. It's like memories of a banana.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm one of those people that unapologetically drinks one of those. So I'm not with you with this joke here, guys. I'm sorry.
And he sort of drizzles a palm full of water into Picard's mouth.
Oh, God. His fingers must be filthy at this point.
Who cares?
I know.
Use your scarf to soak it up. You can bring more than one palmful of water over into another room.
I mean, of course, there's like, oh no, he's clearly got a container because he keeps doing it repeatedly. But you'd think that there's like in the med kit, use the bloody flask. You know?
Oh yes, yes, the Dresky flask.
Yes,
that's great. But a little water does a body good.
Oh, absolutely. And next we see Wesley for some reason also passes out.
Well, yeah, they're...
I mean, he's had water. It's like they're only been there for like a day or two at most at this point.
They might not have slept for like 48 hours.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough.
And this moment... Oh, yeah. Sorry. I wanted to stick with the... as sincere as everything is, we do have to fuck with it a little bit. Because when he's bringing water to the captain and he's going, oh...
Captain Picard, wake up. Wake up.
It's like Simba pushing Mufasa. You gotta wake up. You gotta wake up.
No, absolutely. Oh, gosh. Yes, but fortunately it is now Beverly who is standing there looking at him in his face and like, oh, thank God you're alive.
Yeah.
We're so happy to see you.
Look at how weird this scene is. So she's sort of, Wesley, very quietly, standing from a distance.
Yeah.
And then the stretcher passes with Picard on it.
Between them.
So she treated Picard first, and now she's gently going, oh, Wesley, you're late for that thing.
Yes.
Wesley, it's a Japanese visual novel, and you're late for something. Your parents might disapprove.
Yes. You're very late.
And
you haven't
then,
got pants on. You forgot to do your homework. And you
Yeah. And only then does she finally hug him.
We found the wreckage and the arrow which indicated your direction. We'll take Wesley by stretcher as well.
And Wesley goes, no.
No, I can walk.
Hell yeah, on your own 2 feet. They inform Picard that he's stable. Picard has one more little moment.
Mr. Crusher.
Yes, sir?
What are you doing in such a filthy uniform?
You don't look so ship-shape yourself, sir.
And the final word
of the episode.
Wesley, you will be missed.
Which I was one of those in my not very excellent youth, was one of those who sort of yells at the screen, no, you won't. Yeah, exactly. Good riddance. But man, yeah, absolutely. What a send-off.
Very well done, yes.
Tsuyoto, thank you so much for this recommendation. Do you want to play the music?
I'll play the music.
Yeah, they got the little flourish. It's fun to do.
It is very much so.
So thank you to Tsuyoto for recommending this episode. Although we do have a little bit of bullshit to deal with it at the end, because Kay, who did you think was
so fucking cool?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I'm a little bit lost for words in that regards in this episode. I think it's going to be the Melon freighter.
Just chugging along, doing its thing, irradiating
and
space.
Now slowly falling apart. And
can relate. Yeah.
As Gabriel Iglesias says, like, it's okay to fall apart sometimes. Tacos fall apart too, and we still love them.
Yeah. I'm going to be on Team Durgo.
All right.
As much as I love Wesley, I love Picard and Patrick Stewart and Will Wheaton. Thank you. Patrick Stewart and Will Wheaton did a fantastic job here. I don't think Durgo gets enough. I mean, I sort of want to defend him the way I defend Hutch. From the guy who throws the party in Die Hard, in The Next Generation, right? Who is much maligned by the crew and not respected by anyone, and is written to be kind of to be kind of hated by the audience. But when you look at him objectively, there's no reason. Okay, so he has a substance abuse problem. All right, He's,
yes.
he's afraid of Captain. Not the weirdest thing. Lots of people deal with it.
Yeah.
He does it discreetly. When he says, I wouldn't hide water, I fully believe him.
No, yes, I agree.
He's an experienced
he's
captain.
a little bit rash and has his own things, which he thinks how things should be done, which apparently involve lots of shooting things with phasers. But,
I mean, it's the straightest path. You've got all these nerds.
Right, yes, yeah. I mean, when the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail.
Right.
Yeah.
He sees these nerds like talking about these problems instead of taking action when someone's actually dying. And they criticize him. Wait, you said you have no water on board? What, you didn't bring sarnie? You didn't bring lunch? You expected me to cater? Look at my fucking ship.
Good point. I mean, he did have a replicator, so fine.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Now, as for our...
Captain's log, supplemental.
That voice.
It's actually a final scene after the Wesley, you will be missed. It's like they're carrying Picard over on the stretcher. They're going out to the cave through the other exit, step over the little stream which runs there, which is the water or runoff from the fountain, and then walk off into the distance before walking off into the clearing.
Oh, no! And then they realized that there's a trickle of water here all along. It's just, oh, wow, it just drips right here.
It kind of like gushes out here, and it's like, oh, wait, is that no waste?
Possibly strawberries.
Is that an overwaste over there?
The water. Strawberry is so much better than elderflower. Oh, my God. Yeah, they get put on these stretchers out the other exits through this lush garden.
Exactly.
Oh, horrifyingly, mine has to also be about Durgo.
Okay.
Where everyone leaves and we see the cocoon that Durgo's in sort of crumbling, and he sort of wakes up like, oh
gosh, and now everybody's gone.
Wesley? Anyone?
And they just left him there.
Yeah.
Force fields back.
Force fields back, yeah, exactly.
He doesn't even have a phaser anymore.
No.
Just a half-empty flask.
Well, all that having been said, I wonder what the chief has in store for us. Oh, well, here's the button. No, wait.
Shall I?
Next time on an all-new episode of Star Trek.
Yeah, I need you to stand by with the sound effects because I've got to switch to Telegram.
Right, okay.
So let's do that. You're going to be the master of the sound effects because we've got this technology worked out in, guys, this is the spaciest version. So you're using a tablet, which is actually mirroring my phone, which is Bluetooth to our recording instrument. And so we're both playing like my GIF pack that I've created. I'm so proud of it. Anyway. Thank you to Tsuyoto for this week's recommendation, and we're about to hear the clues for a recommendation that's been sent to us by someone else. And why don't you talk about how those recommendations work?
Oh, well, apparently we have a website, joyoftrak.com,
/links.
And there you can find a link to a sheet where you can submit a recommendation of your own. It'll go into the big hat, which will then be sorted by our chief engineer. If your episode is picked, then you will be invited, but not required, to read out your own recommendation, and otherwise we will do it for you. And we hope to hear from you, because we'd like to hear from everybody, especially in the recommendations of their episode that you love more than everybody else.
Exactly. We love personal viewpoints, and we like to hear from new people. Like Tsuyoto, this is their first recommendation, which we're very delighted by. All right, now let's find out what we're up to next week. Here comes the first clue.
A child, a moron, a failure, and a psychopath. Quite a little team you've put together.
Okay, who is that?
That's Prodigy.
Is another Wesley episode?
Prodigy.
Prodigy.
Yeah.
A child, a moron, a psycho. Okay, let's.
Child is the rock. The moron is the blob thingy.
Murph. Oh,
Murph,
okay.
I think it's.
Who's
Prodigy.
the psychopath?
Ooh.
Jankum Pog?
No. Maybe. What's her name? The daughter of the big evil.
Gwyn. I wouldn't call her a psycho. I mean, maybe Dal. He has the mania for it.
He's the one who's he's the one who's put the team together. So.
Oh, okay. Next clue.
I thought the Breen were annoying.
Whoa.
And recognize the name, but I can't remember who they are.
Oh, well, you can be forgiven for that. They were a mystery race that kept getting name dropped sometimes, and very occasionally we'd see more of them at the end of Deep Space Nine, and then at the end of Discovery we get to see more of them. But it doesn't really give us a clue.
Here, feel how smooth my head is.
What?
Cream of Hippocat. Apply it twice a day. You see, a diversified financial portfolio can mean greater profits and healthier looking skin.
That's Ferengi.
These are Ferengi.
Yeah.
These are absolutely Ferengi. Oh my god.
I don't know if there's Ferengi in Prodigy, but
I have a strong suspicion this is Deep Space Nine.
yeah.
I have a strong suspicion which episode it might be.
Okay.
This is the 8th run-through, and you haven't been able to hit a single Jem'Hadar. And you shot Moogie.
Okay, so that's clearly Deep Space Nine then.
Yes, I think this is the Magnificent Ferengi. We have one more clue.
This is the sloppiest, most amateurish operation I've ever seen. If you ever do anything like this again, count me in.
Okay. It's the heist. It's the Ferengi heist episode.
Oh, what are they heisting?
Oh, I think it's a hostage rescue technically, but it's set up like a heist, and it's all Ferengi all the time. This is episode. Here we go.
Oh, the episode is DS9 610, the Magnificent
Ferengi.
Ferengi.
Excellent. Well, I am definitely looking forward to watching that next time and talking about it with you.
Awesome.
And in the meantime,
I'm leaving Starfleet.
Energize!
We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode with your friends Kay and Kaki, production and editing by our chief engineer Greg, and music by Fox Amore. Join us next time for the Magnificent Ferengi, DS9 610. Visit joyoftrek.com/links to send us your recommendations, support us on Patreon, or to find us on Twitter. We'd love to hear from